irrepetible, única en el mundo, que, como les he dicho, ha hecho del fútbol un arte.
10th years of the 20th century. Santiago Bernabéu. Many people know this man as the president of Real Madrid. Even more know that the Royal Club Stadium is named after him. But few people think that once he also played football very well. Now it is 20s of the 20th century. José Nasazzi. Uruguayan football player and defender of the national team and clubs Bella Vista and Nacional. Four-time South American champion and two-time Olympic champion, as well as the winner and best player of the 1930 World Cup. Going so deep into history. 30s. Again, it is difficult to determine the king of the era. Stadium man Giuseppe Meazza. Two-time world champion in the Italian national team. Most of his career he played for Inter. But since childhood, he was rooting for Milan. Unfortunately for the player, in his youth he was not taken to the black and red. 40s. Stanley Matthews. The Englishman played football at the highest level for a very long time. He ended his career only in 1965, when he was 50 years old. According to contemporaries, almost no one could stop the striker because of his speed and ball possession skills. Matthews is better than anyone at making crosses. And this is in the year 50s. The legendary Alfredo Di Stefano. Argentine by birth, but played for three national teams, Argentina, Colombia, and Spain. In the late 50s, Di Stefano was the leader of Real Madrid, who won the European Cup 5 times in a row. It is noteworthy that the player could go not to the Royal Club, but to Atletico, but an even more realistic option was with Barcelona. Di Stefano even played several matches for Barcelona. But due to a series of scandals around the transfer of a football player from Colombia, Barcelona was forced to abandon the fight for a football player, and Santiago Bernabéu, the president of Real Madrid at that time, began building the most powerful team of the mid-20th century with 60s. It would seem that the most simple and unambiguous choice. Of course, this is the legendary Pelé. But here's the problem. While Pelé was enchanting in Brazil, Europe was torn apart by Eusebio. Subjectively, the Portuguese is a more technical footballer. And in those days, Bobby Charlton played, and compatriot Pelé Garrincha was also nearby. But statistically and in terms of the degree of influence on football, Pelé has few competitors even among those who play in the 21st century. The Brazilian became world champion 3 times. 70s. Johan Cruyff. The legendary Dutch footballer, whose career is mainly associated with Ajax and Barcelona. The forward moved to Spain just at the beginning of the decade in '73. In the same year and the following year, the footballer won 2 golden balls. He received another award from a French magazine even earlier in '71. In 1974, Cruyff reached the final of the World Cup with Holland and was recognized as the best player in the tournament. Cruyff was named 80s. Diego Armando Maradona. The brilliant career of the Argentine just fit in plus or minus 10 years, starting at 81 and ending at 91. This football player needs no introduction and is fighting for the title of not only the king of his era, but also for the title of the best football player of all time. His career was largely ruined by an idle lifestyle and drugs, but when he entered the field, he was the best. Maradona had outstanding technique and a huge arsenal of all kinds of football tricks. At the 90s. Very, very difficult. But Zinedine Zidane. The 90s are the most romanticized time in football. There were a lot of stars in this decade, so choosing the best one is really not an easy task. Collectively, Zidane. Even despite the fact that a significant part of his career took place in the new millennium. The heyday of Zidane is the end of the 90s. In 1998, the Frenchman won the World Cup, and in 2000 the European Championship with the national team. In 1998, Zidane reached the Champions League final with Juventus, and in 0 and 10th years of the 21st century. This is cheating, but Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Who can be considered the king of football of the 0 and 10th years? Only 2 players who have been considered the best in the world for almost 20 years. Lionel Messi broke into big football at the end of 2004, and at the beginning of 2005 he already scored his first goal for Barcelona. Messi was under 18 at the time. The main seasons in the career of a football player fell at the end of the 2000s and the beginning of the 10s. Messi received the first Ballon d'Or in 2009.